Okay, let's revise again. What are logical access controls? Okay, why we have logical access controls? To restrict unauthorized access and protect integrity. What are the component logical access path? Online terminal, dial-up ports, telecommunication network. After that, what are the technical exposures? Data diddling, time bomb, logic bomb, Trojan horse. Okay, data bomb, bomb horse. Then worms, rounding down, salami technique, trapdoor. Worms down, trapdoor, salami. You can remember this question as worm was sitting on a horse. He was throwing bombs on the data. He fell down from the horse into a trapdoor and then he found a salami there. Okay, he fell down means rounding down. Okay, so this is a technique for remembering technical exposures. Then asynchronous attacks. It is an attack when data is being transmitted through telecommunication network. Okay, the points are data leakage, wiretapping, piggybacking, denial of services. Data leakage, wiretapping, piggybacking, and denial of services. Then we have computer crime exposures. It is the impact of the violation of logical access controls. Financial loss, legal repercussions, loss of credibility, blackmail. Financial loss, loss of credibility, legal repercussions, blackmail. After that, sabotage, spoofing, disclosure of confidential information. Disclosure of confidential information, sabotage, spoofing. After that, okay, let's revise these three questions once again. What are the components of logical access controls? Uh, Dial-up ports, telecommunication network, and online terminal. Then we have technical exposures. What are the technical exposures? Data diddling, bomb, Trojan horse. Okay, logic bomb, time bomb. Then worms, rounding down, salami, and trapdoor. Worm was sitting on a horse. He was throwing bombs on the data. He fell down from the horse into a trapdoor and he found a salami there. After that, computer crime exposures, data leakage, wiretapping, uh, then piggybacking, denial of services. After that, okay, sorry, these were asynchronous attacks, not computer crime exposures. Computer crime exposures is impact of violation of logical access controls. Okay, what are the computer crime exposures? Financial loss, legal repercussions, loss of credibility, then blackmail, sabotage, spoofing, disclosure of confidential information. After this, now what is the data that we have to protect? Okay, what are the components of information system where we have to install logical access controls? Application software, backup files, data. Okay, you can remember this as ABD data, ABD Villiers data. What is ABD Villiers data? Application software, backup files, data dictionary, data. After this, library logging system. Library logging system. One is program library, one is password library. Logging files, system software. Okay. Now, what is the mechanism that we have to implement? For identification, we will use smart cards, fingerprints, ID cards. For authorization, we will have a ticket oriented or it will be list oriented. Ticket oriented is temporary authorization, list oriented is clearance as per our responsibility. Once again, smart card, fingerprints, ID cards, then authorization is ticket oriented and list oriented. After this, you can see employees being fired from the organization. So a possible perpetrator in case of physical access controls is a employee everywhere. So what kind of employees? ADT and GF. ADT, GF. What is ADT, GF? It is accidentally ignorant, discontent, termination, substance addiction, gambling, and financial problem. Once again, accidentally ignorant, discontented, termination, substance addiction, gambling, and financial problem. Okay, so these were the possible perpetrators. After that, result of violation. What can happen? Okay, you have to remember this as ABDUD. What is ABDUD? Abuse of data resources, blackmail, embezzlement, damage, unauthorized entry, disclosure of sensitive information. Okay, once again, abuse, then blackmail, embezzlement, damage, unauthorized entry, and disclosure. See now here, disclosure and embezzlement we have, and disclosure and blackmail we have already seen earlier. Here again we are repeating. It is the same impact on logical access controls, damage and disclosure. So these are common points again in physical access control, result of violation. After this, we saw what facilities to be protected. Okay, the technique to remember this is we will steal a pen drive, then we will take the cable of the printer. The printer can be on-site printer or a remote printer. Then we will put water on the LAN. Then 3 communication channels, telecommunication lines, then communication channel, control unit, and computer room. Sorry, control unit. So what we will do is we will install devices to tap the information. Then after this, we have 4 rooms: storage room, backup room, computer room, and power sources. What we will do is we will start a fire. Okay, so this question can be divided as 4 rooms, 4 communications, and input-output device. In that, either offsite a printer or a remote printer, on-site printer or remote printer. Okay, once again, what is pen drive? Pen drive is an input device. Output device is a printer. There are 2 types of printer: on-site and remote printers. Then communication channels, LAN, telecommunication lines, then communication channel, power sources, then 4 rooms, control unit, computer room, backup room, storage. Okay, so this is the how I have divided this question into 3 parts: facilities to be protected by us. Now, what is the mechanism we will implement? First is locking, lock on doors. Okay, what are the locks? Cipher locks, bolting door locks, electronic door locks, biometric door locks. Okay. Cipher, bolting, electronic, and biometric. Then personal identification. It is your PIN number, plastic cards, ID badges. PIN number, plastic cards, ID badges. Then logging into facilities. It will be manual logging or electronic logging. We will either maintain a register or there will be biometric locks for electronic logging or any combination of other locks. Okay. Once again, we will see the earlier points. What are the types of locks we have? We have a cipher lock, bolting door lock, biometric lock, and electronic door locks. After that, logging facilities, manual logging, physical manual logging, and electronic logging. After that, we have personal identification. We have PIN number, plastic cards, and ID badges. After that, yes, these were the only 3 points. Then other means. What are the other means? Video cameras, security guards, controlled visitor access, and bonded personal cleaning. Here, the main point you can write is you will get a bond signed from the either security guards and the cleaning people. We will install trapdoors and we will also install video cameras. Okay. So you will install 2 things and you will get your bond signed from 2 people. Who are the 2 people? Security guards and cleaning people. And what are the 2 things you will install? You will install trapdoors and video cameras. If you want, you can remember these 4 points or you can add as per your convenience. Now let's start with a new question: how to audit this physical access controls. Now first point is risk assessment. What do we do in risk assessment? We identify the risk, we understand the risk, we articulate the risk, we communicate the risk and manage the risk. Okay, this is what we do in COBIT or in risk assessment. Normally, what do we do in risk assessment? You have to remember COSO framework. That is risk assessment. After that, control activities, information and communication, monitoring activities, and control environment. So we have to see whether we are doing risk assessment or not, whether there is a system in the organization which does risk assessment on its own. It will cover 4 things: vulnerabilities, exposures, threats, and assets. Okay, that is what I call VETA. What is VETA? Vulnerabilities, exposures, threats, and assets. In physical access controls, what we will see is whether our risk assessment is covering VETA. Okay. First, you have to explain what is risk assessment, and then we will say what risk assessment is supposed to cover. This is only in case of physical access controls. We are not talking in general. What is VETA? Vulnerabilities, exposures, threats, assets. After that, control assessment. We will see whether the controls are EEC. What is EEC? Existent, effective, and continuous in their approach. Okay, once again, what is EEC? Existent, effective, and continuous in their approach. We will see whether controls are there in the organization, whether they are covering all the areas or not, and whether they are existent, effective, continuous or not. Okay, only that much you have to see in case of physical access controls. Then we will review some documents. We will see the premises plan, then the inventory list, and then principles, procedures, standards, and guidelines. The premises plan, it is basically the blueprint of the premises. We will see whether they are protected or not, or whether they have displayed it on the walls of the organization or not. So that it will give you directions as to how to move in the organization. Then the inventory list is basically the list of information systems and architecture. Then PPSG, what is PPSGs? It is principles, procedures, standards, and guidelines of information system. Not general guidelines, it is in relation to information system. See, now this question, audit of physical access controls, it is asked in chapter number 6, auditing of information system. So first, what we did is we first saw what are the controls, and then we saw how to audit these controls. Okay, what our approach must be. Obviously, we will see whether logs are there, whether logging is done, whether we have personal identification medium or not. First, we will see whether controls are there or not in control assessment, and then we will see whether they are existent, effective, and continuous or not. Okay. So this is how we will audit physical access controls. Now let's see the next question. Okay, this is easy because just remember RCR, PIP. Okay, risk assessment, control assessment, review of documents. Only 3 things you have to do in case of audit of physical access controls. Okay, tell me now what is happening in this slide. Yes, can you see the images are moving?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Tell me what is happening here.
There's a fire.
Fire.
Yes, here. Okay, here.
Critical outage.
Yes.
See here. These are the water sources. We are pointing out what are the water sources from where there can be leakage. Okay, it can be from the kitchen or from the restroom or from the servers or the maintenance. Okay, so that are the locations that I have highlighted. Then can you tell what is happening here?
Volcanic eruption.
Okay, and here?
No, bomb. It's a bomb.
Yes, it is. They are bombing that site, and
Bomb.
Here?
Power fluctuation.
Electric shock. Yeah.
Electronic shock. Okay, so this is a fire damage. This is water damage. This is we can say a natural disaster or bomb threat. Okay, here what happened is in this image here, there was a flag of ISIS. Okay, the US government was so fed up that just because there was an ISIS flag on that land, they bombed the entire area. Okay, just because of one flag. They had reminded earlier that if we find even one flag in that area, we will bomb the entire area. that is basically a bomb threat. I'm not saying bombing ISIS is a violation or anything. It is just an image of what happened here. And this is the person who is using computers is getting electronic shock. Okay. It is just hypothetical. So fire damage, water damage, bomb threat, and electronic shock. These are the environmental threats. Okay, these threats are external to the organism. Now let's see what are the common threats. Fire damage, water damage, power spike, and electronic shock. Okay, in power spike, what happens is suddenly the power goes down and then it rises above the level, because of which the information systems, they are accustomed to a certain level of electricity. They will shut down, or what they will overload. Okay, that happens when there is a power spike. In our household also, sometimes when there is a power spike, what happens is your TV, okay, the black screen, you can see a dot is formed in the middle of the TV. You are using the earlier cathode ray tube based TVs. So that is what is the reason of this power spike. Suddenly the electricity will go and the TV will shut down with a dot in the middle of the screen. Imagine that happening for the information systems. Then electronic shock, you can understand from the image. Okay, you don't have to explain this. They will just ask what are the common threats of from the environment. You have to say fire damage, water damage, power spike, electronic shock. Fire, water, power, electricity. Okay. Now next, then natural disaster. If tsunami, earthquake, flood, these are what are natural disasters, landslides. Then equipment failure. We have generators and all. If they fail, they are not supposed to fail, but if they fail, it is also a threat to the organization. So equipment failure, it can be any information system like a TPS and all. If they fail, obviously other operations of the organization will come to a standstill. Then bomb threat. We saw that ISIS flag was planted on the area. So US government, they bombed the entire area just because of one flag. And then air conditioning failure, AC failure. See these IT rooms and all, they all have air conditioners. If the air conditioners fail, it is very difficult because some servers, the cooling part is done by the ACs itself. They also have other measures, but this is also considered a threat. If the ACs fail and the organization business hours are over, you can actually suffocate and die in the IT company. That is how much airtight the IT companies are. So AC failures can even result to death in IT companies. So we are calling it a common threat. So here just remember NEBA. What is NEBA? Natural disaster, equipment failure, bomb threat, air conditioner failure. Okay, let's revise what are the all 8 points. Fire damage, water damage, electronic shock, and fire damage,
Power,
failure. Okay.
power, sir.
Yes. Fire damage, water damage, power failure, and electronic shock. Then NEBA, natural disaster, equipment failure, threat, and AC failure. Okay, so there are 3 failures: power failure, equipment failure, and AC failure. Okay, so these were the common threats we can see from our environment. Now what we will do is we will impose controls based on each and every common threat. Now for fire damage, what we will have is handheld extinguisher. You saw in the image that we can use handheld extinguisher to extinguish small fires. If the fire is of a large scale, we have to call the fire department. Then we will also have fire suppression system. We will have dry pipe sprinkling system. So what we will do is we will install a sprinkling system in the organization. Water will go through it. Why we are calling it dry pipe? Even if a large amount of water is going through those pipes, there is no water leakage. Okay, from outside the pipes will always be dry, you will not even understand if the water is flowing from it or not. Okay, so that is why we are calling it dry pipe. Whatever happens, whatever may be the case, in case of fire, the sprinklers will be turned on, but in normal cases, there will be no leakage from these pipes. That is why we call it dry pipe sprinkling system. Then we have water-based system. Okay, this is a bit outdated concept, water-based system. What we will do is, whatever the equipment or the property where the fire has started, we will just extinguish that fire using pipes. Okay, that is what is water-based system. You must have seen in the buildings, we have a red box. In that box means we have to break the glass, and then we have to take the pipes out of that box, and as you turn on those pipes, water will start coming out. So that is what is basically water-based system. Then halogen gas. What is halogen gas? It extinguishes fires. But you have to also write that halogen gas, it is very harmful for our environment. The ozone layer of Earth is being depleted because of continuous use of halogen gas. So it is not only outdated, but it is, you know, least preferred option of halogen gas, but it is still a part of fire suppression system. If the organization wants, they can opt for it, but they just have to take extra measures for making sure that it doesn't affect the environment. So once again, first handheld extinguisher, then dry pipe, water, and halogen gas. Okay, there will be one pipe, then water, then halogen gas, and handheld extinguisher. After this, so these were only for fire damage. Now we have 3 additional for fire damage. We will have smoke detectors. As soon as a fire is started, these detectors will detect the smoke and accordingly give instructions to the sprinkling systems or the IT department. Then regular inspection by fire departments. We will keep the emergency contact list of the fire departments. We will also tell them to regularly inspect, because we don't have that much experience in updating our organization's policies, but fire department, they have considerable experience. They are practically experts in that. So we will tell them to do the regular inspection. Then we will fireproof the walls, floors, and ceilings. Okay, walls, floors, and ceilings. After this, okay, so smoke, fire department, fireproofing. Okay, fire department, fireproofing, and smoke. Now let's revise all the 7 points. First one is handheld extinguisher. Then we will install fire suppression systems. What are these? There are 3 fire suppression systems: water-based system, halogen gas, and dry pipe sprinkling system. After that, we have smoke detectors, fire department, and fireproofing. Okay, so these were the environmental controls, okay, in relation to only fire damage. Once again, handheld fire extinguisher, then fire suppression system. In that, there are 3 systems. One is water-based system, then halogen gas, then dry pipe sprinkling system. After that, we will have smoke detectors, we will do fireproofing, and we will regularly, fire department will do regular inspection. Let's move on now. Now we will see what is water damage. We will only use 2 things for water damage, that is water detectors and strategically locating water computer room. Strategically locating computer room. Okay, we will just return to the image that we saw earlier. What we have done here is we have located our computer room where this water, it cannot access this. Okay, this water will never come here. So that is how we have strategically located the computer room here. So obviously we will have water detectors here. That is why I have highlighted these. These are what we will install here, water detectors. and we will also strategically locate the computer room. So that is why I had inserted that image. Then, okay, once again, what are the two water detectors? Water damage controls, water detectors, and strategically locating the computer room. After that, power spikes. Now, how we can control these power spikes? Obviously, we will install the systems. We have electronic surge protectors. What it will do is, whatever damage is caused by spikes, it will try to either modify it or it will reduce the risk. That is what electronic surge protectors do. They are basically devices we install. For example, for our TVs, we will install we will buy one device. So whatever power spike is there, still our TV will not shut down the way it was shutting down before. That is basically like a UPS. Then we have UPS or generators. Yes.
No, stabilizes. Am I right, sir?
Yes, sorry, that is what I wanted to say. It stabilizes the power spike. So if it is going above and below, so what it will do is, the moment it goes above, it will do this, and if it is going down, it will rise it above. Okay, so that is what electronic surge protectors do. Then we have UPS generators. What is the full form of UPS?
Uninterrupted power supply.
Uninterrupted power supply. And generators, whenever we are out of the power, we will use these devices or systems. Then power leads from two substations. We will keep contact with two electricity companies, that even if power is shut down from one electricity company, we will have another station from another company. So that is what we are saying, from power leads from two substations. It can be either companies or two stations of the same company. We have to just make sure that we are not out of power during the business hours. Then we have emergency power switches. Okay. What are emergency power switches? Whenever a fire is started, you can use these emergency power switches to cut the power. Or whenever there is a power spike, it will straight away cut the power, so that our information systems are not damaged because of those spikes. For example, if there is a company, it comes to know that there is going to be a power spike due to these conditions, what it will do is, as soon as it detects that there is going to be a power spike, we will use this emergency power switch to shut down or cut the power. And after we cut the power, we will automatically get electricity from another substation. Okay, that is why we have power leads from two substations. So these were the four controls in case of power spikes: electronic surge protectors, UPS, generators, power leads from two substations, emergency power switches. Once again, electronic surge protectors, UPS, power leads from two substations, and then emergency power switches. Okay, for UPS also write generators. After this, we will see how to, okay, there is also, we will also see what is pollution damage. We are talking about air pollution here, air pollution or any other kind of pollution. We will do regular cleaning in the organization. That is why we will we will get a bond signed from them. Then we will use vacuum cleaner, air conditioner. See, again, air conditioner also improves the quality of air in the organization. That is why we will use them also. Then we will use separate slippers for computer room. So some footwear, they are not electricity resistant. These slippers, specifically rubber slippers, they are electricity resistant. So what we will do is, instead of using the same footwear everywhere, we will have separate slippers for computer room, because there is a high probability of electronic shocks. Then we will prohibit eating and drinking in information processing facility. What is IPF? It is information processing facility. Okay, it is a general etiquette that wherever your laptops are or computers are, you are not supposed to eat and drink around it. Okay, just remember it is only for laptops where you are working. Okay, in information processing facility, because accident can happen at any time. Once again, for pollution damage, we will do regular cleaning. We will use vacuum cleaner, air conditioner, slippers, and we will prohibit eating and drinking in IPF. What is IPF? Information processing facility. So vacuum cleaner, air conditioner, slippers, regular cleaning, prohibiting eating and drinking. So these are the controls we will use to avoid pollution damage. Now we will do audit of environmental controls. First, we will audit the plan and how assessment is done. What assessment we are talking about, how we will identify that these are the threats and how we will install controls. So first we will see the risk profile, whether a risk profile is maintained or not. We will identify all the risks. We will see the probability of those risks materializing, the nature of risk, then potential impact. Okay, that is basically what is risk profiling. Yes, who does risk profiling? Which function? Which function has the responsibility of preparing risk profiles? Okay.
Is it the management? Wait, we've studied somewhere profiling. Is it the management or something, sir? Steering committee? No, not the steering committee. Management, sir.
Remember that photo I showed you when we were learning COVID 5. One person is responsible for doing risk profiling. Yes, can you remember? It is the risk management function. Okay, that soldier basically. So he is responsible for preparing the risk profile. Then we will do a control assessment. Whether for those risks we have installed controls or not. What is the control environment? How is it effective or not? We will see in control assessment. Then we will also review security policies, whether it is effective or not. Then we will interview the personnel, whether they are aware or not. We will check employee awareness and we will see whether we have a preventive maintenance plan. So these are just general points you have to remember. You don't have to remember all of these. Remember only 3 to 4. Here, you can remember this as we will interview the personnel. We will check the employee awareness, whether they know what is a preventive maintenance plan, what is security policy, what is risk profile, and as per that we will do the control assessment. Once again, we will interview the personnel, we will check the employee awareness, we will come to know whether they know anything about preventive maintenance plan, security policy, and the risk profile, and then we will see whether control assessment is done in the organization or not. Okay, we'll just pause this recording.